Jordan Peterson. Jordan Peterson is still around? The radical left is guilt-tripping the West into oblivion. How is anyone interviewing Jordan Peterson still? How is he even still around? He's really dropped off the face of the earth lately. Last I heard about him, like, he retweeted that video of like fetish milking porn, and he thought it was like a real Chinese milking laboratory where men were being jacked off by robots for sperm or something with the Matrix music. I guess we'll watch like a few minutes of this and see what's going on.
Totalitarian systems are ruled by a sort of singular top-down tyrant. Hitler, Stalin, Lenin. It's like, no. What? A totalitarian state is ruled by the lie.
Hello and welcome to Off Script.
Wow.
My name is Stephen Edgington. How do you win the culture war? What lessons can we learn from Soviet dissidents? I sat down with Dr. Jordan Peterson to discuss these questions and more.
Oh, wow.
Thank you very much, Dr. Peterson, for joining us.
My pleasure.
Has the right lost the culture war?
This is like the pause.
We'll see. We'll see. The right lacks vision. They play a rearguard game. They don't have a compelling story to tell young people. And because they're conscientious, conservatives are conscientious, it's easy to hoist them on the petard of guilt. And the psychopathic narcissists of the radical left are unbelievably good at that.
The radical left makes right-wingers feel guilty because right-wingers are very conscientious. I've never heard anything more wrong than that in my life. I've never heard anything more wrong than that in my life. Like, the right wing is just completely unapologetic about some of the most gross, disgusting things you could ever imagine, like colonialism, bigotry, racism, what have you. And this guy here is like, they're actually very conscientious, and the radical left makes them feel guilty and sad, and that's why they can't win the culture war. What the holy hell is he saying?
And so the conservative types are set back on their heels in a big way, and they don't know how to articulate their own principles. Partly because, like, if you're a conservative...
No, they articulate their own principles. It's just impossible to articulate conservative principles without coming off as a piece of shit. So they try to hide them.
You don't really articulate your principles. You just go about your business, right?
Right, you don't, because your principles, cause, rank disgust in any remotely decent person.
Well, we'll just do things the way they have been done if they're working, and we'll go attend to our business, and we won't think too much conceptually. And
so basically Jordan Peterson is claiming that conservatives don't have any sort of ideology. They just do good things, or they just kind of go along with good things, right? They don't have any political agenda. They don't have any real ideology. They're just normal, salt of the earth people. And there's the radical left. Now, those are the guys with an ideology. Those are the guys who want to change everything. Those are the bad guys. Change is bad. Maintaining everything as it is, no matter what, now that's what good is.
We'll, act practically. And so if you go listen to the Republicans, for example, I went to the Republican Governors Association meeting, and it wasn't inspiring, but the governors would present their policies sort of at the level of practical intervention. They're very practical people, and that's fine, except...
The reason why conservatives love culture war is because they're not practical people. Because they know that if they straight up tell people what they really want to do, especially economically, it causes rejection and disgust. If they are honest about their economic policy and what it aims to do, they're fucked. So they focus on look at the gay people, look at the scary gay people, look at the scary trans people, look at the racist dog whistles that we got. Tough on crime, whatever the fuck. Shit like that. Because they know that actually, on a practical level, they have fucking nothing. And if they actually are honest about it, they get fucking wrecked. Just look at the Republicans in the US right now, DeSantis and Trump, all they fucking talk about is gay people, trans people. It's a fucking joke.
It doesn't work well against the messianism of the left. So the conservatives are in a position where they just get dragged towards the left one step at a time. And they're also terrible strategists.
What the hell are you talking about?
For example, in the United States, the education system, the public education system, eats half of the state budgets. Half.
And
in New York, it's $30,000 a year.
Apparently, it's bad to spend a lot of money on education.
To educate the typical student. So you imagine that means they're spending near $1 million a year to educate the typical class of 30, to not educate the typical class of 30 people. It's just beyond comprehension. 99% of the donations that are made by the teachers union politically go to the Democrats, and the bloody Department of Education, the faculties of education, have a hammerlock on teacher certification, right? So they have the worst students who go into education for the worst motives, and then they have the worst professors in research.
The students go into education for the worst motives? What does that mean? What does that mean? I'm pretty sure the students don't have a choice of, like, they don't really have motivations because schooling is compulsory, and I fucking hope you don't think that's bad. What the hell? Does like a primary school student or a secondary school student like have a motivation for studying? I'm pretty sure it's just they study because they kind of have to.
Just teaching them. And the faculties of education have done nothing but damage for the last 60 years. And the Republicans are too daft to notice that they've turned the entire culture over to the faculties of education.
This is straight up like ridiculous conspiracy theory shit. Like abolish public education because it teaches the children to be Democrats, I guess. Is that it? Is that what he's trying to imply? Like, this is the thing with Jordan Peterson, lots of other people too, it's not just him. They just won't say what they really believe. They won't go to the implications of what they're saying. They will clearly imply them, and then if you said to him right now, so do you want to abolish public education? He'd say, no, that's not what I'm saying, even though it's fucking obviously what he's trying to imply.
So, it's no bloody wonder the Conservatives lose. Like, as strategists, they're 10th rate, and they're not visionaries. Now, they have traditional...
Well, yeah, they're conservatives. They want everything to be the way it was before, when everything was worse, of course.
Right on their side, and that's a big deal, but, you know, that can be overthrown by assiduous effort on the part of the radicals. Especially the psychopathic radicals.
Psychopathic radicals. Who? Who are these psychopathic radicals who apparently have power?
Thrive in chaos, so they're more than willing.
There's chaos. There's chaos too. Wow, this guy just... I can't fucking wait for the Chaos Dragon to come in and like eat the essence of, I don't know, something.
To turn the whole apple cart upside down in the hopes that they'll be able to scrounge among the ruins and dance in the flames.
It's this issue of how to fight back against this authoritarianism that I'm curious to talk about for this next hour or so, maybe longer, we'll see. But one issue recently has been debanking. So in Canada, a couple of years ago during the trucker protests, you saw truckers whose bank accounts were closed down.
No, I don't think debanking is an issue that anyone is really having right now. What the hell?
They were removing money.
We pioneered that here in Canada.
Absolutely. Well, I think the Chinese probably pioneered.
Wow.
Well,
and then,
it could be.
The Canadians took it
At least
up.
among democratic countries.
Well, exactly. And in the UK recently, Nigel Farage has had issues with certain banks refusing to offer him services. Other politicians on the right have had the same thing. And the concern...
That's so fucking weird too, because like Americans at least are always like, companies should be able to choose who they do business with as like a dog whistle to refuse service to LGBT people, for example. And now it's like companies choose not to do business with Nigel Farage, and that's bad. Okay.
Just as said, in the UK, you know, they're warning the people who are celebrating this. This could happen to you.
Those are the useful idiots. The useful idiots always think, this will never happen to me. You see this with the Democrats in the US. So I just interviewed Robert F. Kennedy, who in principle is a Democrat. So they took down the interview. And that just...
No, I mean, they probably took down the interview because he like said a bunch of COVID conspiracy shit. And like, I think he said that like COVID was bio-targeted to not hurt Jews, which is fucking incredible. Like, obviously, if you say that, like, you're going to get your shit taken down. Like, yeah. Like, you interview RFK, the video is probably going to get taken down, and I would hope it would get taken down, because it should be.
Shocked me, because it's a presidential campaign.
Oh, yeah, he did say that. Let me find you the article. Like, I'm literally searching RFK COVID Jews. And this is fucking the New York Post, right? This is a right-wing outlet. RFK Jr. says COVID may have been ethnically targeted to spare Jews. Is there a video of it?
I've been a book on it for the past 2.5 years, and you know, the technology that we now have to develop these microbes, we've put hundreds of millions of dollars into ethnically targeted microbes.
He just said ethnically targeted microbes.
The Chinese do the same thing. In fact, COVID-19, there's an argument that it is ethnically targeted.
In case you don't understand what he's saying, he just said COVID-19, there's a case that is ethnically targeted.
COVID-19 attacks certain races.
It targets certain races, according to him.
Proportionally. The races that are most immune to COVID-19 are because of the structure of the genetic structure, genetic differentials among different races of the receptors of the ACE2 receptor. COVID-19 is targeted to attack Caucasians and black people. The people who are most immune are Ashkenazi Jews and Chinese.
So, I wasn't shitting you. You know, if you interview that guy and your video gets taken down, I think we all know that why it was taken down, and it should be taken down as well, because he just straight up said that he thinks that COVID was like created to kill white people and black people and to spare Jews. We all know what that means, right? Like, genetically, Jews are not really any different to, at least like, you know, white Jews are not any real are not different to like other white people in any real meaningful way. And he's just like, no, actually, apparently they are. Apparently, you can like specifically avoid targeting some specific Jewish essence. And oh my god, like I don't even know why I'm focusing on like the plausibility of the idea, because the fact that he's saying it at all is completely insane. Okay, we'll give this one more minute. We'll give this 30 more seconds. There's no way I'm watching an hour and 26 minutes of Jordan Peterson ranting about random shit.
Campaign, and the lefties squawked and moaned and bitched for like 3 years about Russian collusion, all of which turned out to be a complete bloody lie because they were interfering with the election. And now YouTube can censor a presidential candidate mid-election, and there isn't a peep from the left. And
I'm pretty sure he was probably censored for exactly what I just said. Like, you can't say that shit on YouTube.
the reason for that is they think, well, Kennedy's not a real Democrat, without noticing for a second that the definition of real Democrat is going to get increasingly narrow as we move forward, and that's already happened, you know. And I tried for years talking to the Democrats, probably 36 senators and congressmen alike, always asking them the same question. I asked Robert Kennedy this too. When does the left go too far? And to a man or a woman, they were either unwilling or unable to answer that question. And so...
Why don't you tell us what they're doing that's too far? Why don't you actually explain what the fuck you're talking about, man?
Well, so here we are.
Like the idea that the American Democrats are going too far and they're even on the left, let alone going too far towards the left, is so insane. I don't even know how to respond.
This increasing, the increasing normalization of censorship and canceling. And this, by the way, is also a technique that's used by dark tetrad types, right? It's
by
the
dark
female equivalent
tetrahedral types.
Of antisocial behavior.
It's the female. Okay, it's the female equivalent of antisocial behavior. What the fuck are you saying? Someone put him in a home, man. Someone put him in a home. Okay, that's enough. That's good enough. I've had enough Jordan Peterson for today. I'm glad he's back because he's always good for content. But aside from that, you know, I'm not really very interested in him and whatever the fuck he's talking about. Because Jesus.